The story begins in the hush of ancient temples, where the ibis-headed god, Thoth, was revered, not only as the scribe of the gods, but as the custodian of truths too vast for mortal minds. His wisdom was said to stretch beyond the rhythms of the Nile, beyond the cycles of the moon, into the very architecture of the cosmos. Yet not all of this wisdom was shared. Some teachings were sealed, hidden in scrolls, locked away in vaults, whispered only among the gods themselves. The Egyptians believed that knowledge was sacred, a force as powerful as fire or flood. It could nourish, but it could also destroy. Thoth embodied this paradox. He gave humanity writing, mathematics, astronomy, and medicine gifts that built civilization. But alongside these gifts were teachings that could unravel the balance of Mat, the cosmic order. These were the forbidden teachings, the ones never meant for human hands. Legends tell of texts that contained spells to command the elements, formulas to transcend death, and secrets of creation itself. To possess them was to hold the keys to immortality and power. Yet to misuse them was to invite ruin. Priests guarded fragments of this wisdom, passing it only to the worthy, while the rest was buried in silence, hidden beneath stone and sand. The forbidden knowledge of Thoth became less about actual scrolls and more about the idea of restraint. It was a reminder that wisdom is not only about discovery, but about knowing when not to reveal. Humanity was given just enough to thrive, but not enough to become gods. And so the myth of Thoth's hidden teachings endured, a story of silence, secrecy, and the eternal tension between curiosity and caution. And now, before you drift off into dreams of pyramids and scrolls, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, preferably somewhere cozy, under a blanket, already half asleep. In the vast pantheon of Egyptian gods, Thoth occupied a unique place. He was not a warrior, nor a ruler of the skies, nor a god of harvests or floods. Instead, he was the mind of the divine order, the scribe who recorded the will of the gods, the mediator who ensured that truth was preserved. Depicted with the head of an ibis, or sometimes as a baboon, Thoth embodied wisdom, calculation, and balance. His presence was quiet but essential, for without him, the cosmos itself would lose its rhythm. The Egyptians believed that Thoth invented writing, giving humanity the ability to preserve memory beyond the fleeting breath of speech. He was the patron of scribes, the guardian of libraries, the divine figure who turned words into eternity. Every hieroglyph carved into stone, every scroll copied by hand, was seen as a reflection of his gift. To write was not merely to communicate, but to participate in the sacred act of creation. Thoth was also the keeper of time. He measured the cycles of the moon, charted the stars, and ensured that calendars aligned with the rhythms of nature. Festivals, rituals, and agricultural seasons depended on his calculations. In this way, he was the architect of order, the one who ensured that human life remained in harmony with cosmic patterns. In the afterlife, Thoth's role was equally vital. He stood beside the scales of Mat, recording the fate of souls as their hearts were weighed against the feather of truth. He did not judge, but he ensured that judgment was fair, that balance was preserved, that no deception could alter the outcome. His impartiality made him a comfort to the Egyptians, for kings and peasants alike faced the same scales, the same feather, the same recording hand. Beyond these roles, Thoth was imagined as a teacher of civilization. He gave humanity mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and magic. He was the bridge between gods and mortals, the one who translated divine wisdom into human understanding. His presence was felt in temples, schools, and rituals, shaping the very fabric of Egyptian culture. To the Egyptians, Thoth was not simply a god, but a principle, the embodiment of wisdom, truth, and balance. He was the reminder that knowledge must serve harmony, that words must preserve truth, and that civilization itself rests on the careful rhythm of order. In his quiet, steady way, Thoth became the foundation upon which Egypt built its greatness. A god whose influence was felt not in battles or conquests, but in the enduring power of wisdom. In the mythology of ancient Egypt, wisdom was not a commodity to be freely distributed, nor a treasure to be hoarded without care. It was a sacred force, a current of divine energy that flowed through the cosmos, shaping stars, rivers, and the rhythm of life itself. Thoth, the god of writing and balance, was entrusted with this force, and he understood that not all knowledge could safely pass into human hands. The Egyptians believed that Thoth possessed teachings that could alter the very fabric of existence. These were not simple lessons in writing or mathematics, but truths that touched the foundations of creation. They spoke of immortality, of commanding the elements, of unlocking the hidden architecture of the universe. To mortals, such knowledge would be intoxicating, irresistible, and ultimately destructive. It was said that even the most disciplined priest could falter if granted too much power. Thus, Thoth became not only the giver of wisdom, but its guardian. He offered humanity gifts that would sustain civilization, writing to preserve memory, astronomy to chart the heavens, medicine to heal the body, mathematics to measure the earth. These were the teachings that allowed Egypt to flourish, to build temples aligned with the stars, to govern with laws rooted in balance. Yet beyond these gifts lay the forbidden truths, sealed away in silence, hidden in scrolls that no mortal was meant to read. Legends whispered of texts that contained spells to transcend death, formulas to summon divine forces, and codes that revealed the secrets of the soul. Those who sought them were warned of ruin, for to misuse such power was to disrupt the cosmic order. The myths of the Book of Thoth and the Emerald Tablets carried echoes of this danger, reminding humanity that curiosity must be tempered with caution. In this way, the Egyptians taught that wisdom is not simply about knowing, but about restraint. Knowledge not meant for humanity was a reminder that truth can be both gift and burden, both illumination and shadow. Thoth's guardianship ensured that mortals received only what they could bear, that civilization thrived without unraveling the delicate balance of the cosmos. And so the story of forbidden wisdom became part of Egypt's legacy, a tale of silence, secrecy, and the eternal tension between human ambition and divine protection. The origins of Thoth's lost teachings are wrapped in layers of myth, history, and imagination, like scrolls rolled tight and hidden in the vaults of time. To the Egyptians, Thoth was not only the scribe of the gods, but the very inventor of wisdom itself. His teachings were said to have emerged at the dawn of creation, when the universe was first ordered out of chaos. In those primordial moments, Thoth inscribed the laws of existence, recording the rhythms of the stars, the balance of life and death, and the hidden formulas that sustained the cosmos. These teachings were believed to be older than Egypt itself. Some myths suggested that Thoth carried them from a time before the Nile Valley flourished, perhaps from a forgotten age when humanity was closer to the gods. Others imagined that the wisdom was whispered directly to him by Ra, the sun god, or discovered in the silence of the heavens as he charted the movements of the moon. Whatever their origin, the teachings were seen as eternal, existing before temples were built, before kings ruled, before mortals learned to write. Priests in Hermopolis, the city dedicated to Thoth, claimed to preserve fragments of this ancient wisdom. They copied scrolls, performed rituals, and taught initiates, always with the understanding that much of the knowledge was hidden. The origins of the lost teachings were not in libraries or schools, but in the divine act of creation itself. To study them was to glimpse the architecture of the universe, to see the scaffolding upon which reality rested. Over time, legends grew. Some said that Thoth inscribed his deepest secrets on indestructible tablets, hidden in temples or buried beneath the sands. Others believed that the teachings were encoded in hieroglyphs, visible to all but understood only by the initiated. Still others imagined that the wisdom was sealed in the stars themselves, waiting for those who could read the heavens. The origins of Thoth's lost teachings remind us that wisdom was never seen as merely human. It was divine, eternal, and cosmic, flowing from the gods into the world. Humanity was given fragments, writing, mathematics, medicine, but the full treasury remained hidden, sealed in silence, preserved in myth. The story of these origins is not about discovery, but about reverence, a reminder that the deepest truths are not invented but revealed, and that their source lies beyond the reach of mortal hands. Among the many legends surrounding Thoth, none have captured the imagination quite like the Emerald Tablets. These mythical artifacts were said to be indestructible, glowing with eternal wisdom, inscribed with truths that could not fade, even if the world itself crumbled. The tablets were imagined as containing the very language of creation, formulas that explained the stars, the soul, and the hidden architecture of the universe. The origins of the Emerald Tablets are shrouded in mystery. Some traditions claim they were written by Thoth himself in the earliest days of civilization, carved into a substance so enduring that neither fire nor flood could destroy it. Others suggest they were hidden deep within temple vaults, or buried beneath the sands of Egypt, waiting for seekers who approached with reverence. Later, in the blending of Egyptian and Greek thought, the tablets were attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great sage who embodied both Thoth and Hermes. The teachings within the Emerald Tablets were said to reveal the unity of all things, the balance between spirit and matter, the pathways to enlightenment, and the secrets of transformation. Alchemists in the medieval and Renaissance periods believed the tablets contained the formula for turning lead into gold, not merely as a physical act, but as a metaphor for spiritual refinement. To them, the tablets were not just objects, but symbols of the eternal quest for wisdom. What makes the Emerald Tablets so compelling is their ambiguity. No one has ever seen them, yet countless texts claim to quote them. They exist more as an idea than as an artifact, a reminder that the greatest truths may be hidden in allegory, waiting for interpretation. Their legend reflects humanity's longing for ultimate knowledge, the belief that somewhere, inscribed in indestructible words, lies the secret of existence. In the mythology of Thoth, the Emerald Tablets stand as a symbol of wisdom that endures beyond time. They remind us that knowledge is not only about discovery, but about transformation, that truth is not only preserved in stone, but carried in the soul. Whether real or imagined, the tablets continue to inspire seekers, scholars, and dreamers, echoing the eternal presence of Thoth as the guardian of hidden wisdom. Among the many legends that swirl around the god of wisdom, none are as haunting as the tale of the Book of Thoth. This mythical text was said to contain the most powerful secrets ever inscribed, spells to command the heavens, formulas to speak with animals, incantations to understand the language of the stars, and knowledge that could grant mastery over life and death itself. To possess the book was to hold the keys to the universe, yet to misuse it was to invite ruin. The Egyptians believed that the Book of Thoth was hidden away, sealed in sacred chambers, guarded by curses that would strike down anyone who sought it without reverence. Stories told of ambitious priests and reckless seekers who uncovered fragments of the book, only to suffer terrible fates. Some were driven mad by the weight of knowledge, others destroyed by the very powers they tried to wield. The curse was not imagined as punishment, but as protection, a safeguard against humanity's inability to bear such truths. In myth, the book was sometimes said to be buried with a pharaoh, locked in a tomb beneath layers of stone and sand. Other tales placed it in the hands of initiates who swore oaths of silence, passing fragments of its wisdom only to those deemed worthy. Yet the recurring theme was always the same. The book existed, but it was hidden, sealed, and cursed. Later traditions carried the legend forward, blending it with Hermetic philosophy and mystical lore. Scholars and alchemists imagined that the Book of Thoth contained the ultimate formulas of transformation, the secrets of immortality, the path to divine enlightenment. Yet even in these retellings, the curse remained. To seek the book without balance was to risk destruction, for wisdom without restraint was seen as the greatest danger of all. The Book of Thoth became more than a text. It became a symbol. It represented the eternal tension between curiosity and caution, ambition and reverence, humanity's longing for ultimate truth and the dangers of possessing it. Its curse was a reminder that knowledge is not only gift but responsibility, that some truths must remain hidden until humanity is ready. And so the legend endures, a tale of a book that contains everything, yet offers nothing freely. A book that whispers of power, yet warns of ruin. A book that embodies the paradox of Thoth himself, the god who gave wisdom and the god who sealed it away. The pharaohs of Egypt were not merely kings, they were seen as living embodiments of divine order, rulers whose authority flowed directly from the gods. Their reign was not only political, but cosmic, a reflection of the balance of matter, truth, justice, and harmony. At the heart of their power lay sacred knowledge, fragments of wisdom believed to have been gifted by Thoth himself. This knowledge was not written in common scrolls or spoken in marketplaces. It was preserved in rituals, encoded in hieroglyphs, and guarded within temple walls. Pharaohs were initiated into mysteries that connected them to the rhythms of the heavens, teaching them how to align their rule with the cycles of the stars and the floods of the Nile. To govern Egypt was to govern in harmony with the cosmos, and Thoth's wisdom was the key to that alignment. Priests whispered that pharaohs carried fragments of forbidden teachings, not the full treasury of Thoth's knowledge, but enough to ensure that their reign reflected divine balance. They learned the sacred formulas for rituals, the chants that invoked cosmic order, the calculations that aligned temples with celestial movements. These teachings were seen as both privilege and burden, for to misuse them was to invite chaos. The sacred knowledge of the pharaohs was also practical. It guided the construction of pyramids, the design of temples, the organization of calendars. It ensured that Egypt's monuments stood not only as feats of engineering, but as reflections of cosmic truth. Every stone placed, every ritual performed, every law declared was imagined as part of a larger harmony, a rhythm inscribed by Thoth. Yet this knowledge was never fully revealed to the people. It remained hidden, passed from ruler to ruler, guarded by priests, preserved in silence. The pharaohs were seen as mediators between gods and mortals, entrusted with wisdom that could sustain civilization but never meant to be scattered freely. In this way, the sacred knowledge of the pharaohs became a symbol of Egypt itself, a civilization built on balance, guided by wisdom, sustained by truths that were both shared and concealed. It was a reminder that power is not only authority, but responsibility, that knowledge is not only gift, but burden, and that the greatest rulers are those who govern in harmony with the eternal rhythms of the cosmos. In the mythology of ancient Egypt, Thoth was not simply a god of writing or a patron of scribes. He was imagined as the architect of cosmic law. His wisdom was said to extend beyond the boundaries of temples and scrolls, reaching into the very structure of existence. To the Egyptians, the universe was not chaotic but ordered, and Thoth was the one who inscribed that order, ensuring that the rhythms of life and death, the cycles of the moon, and the movements of the stars all followed a divine pattern. Thoth's laws were not written in stone tablets for mortals to read, but woven into the fabric of reality itself. The rising of the sun, the flooding of the Nile, the balance of the seasons, all were reflections of his cosmic design. Priests believed that rituals aligned with these laws could sustain harmony, while neglect or corruption could invite chaos. In this way, Thoth was seen as the mediator between the divine and the mortal, the one who ensured that the universe remained steady. The Egyptians imagined that Thoth recorded every event, every judgment, every truth. He was the cosmic scribe, writing not only the fate of souls, but the laws that governed their journey. His presence beside the scales of Mat symbolized this role. He did not judge, but he ensured that judgment was fair, that balance was preserved, that the laws of the universe were upheld without bias. Later traditions, especially in Hermetic philosophy, carried this idea forward. Hermes Trismegistus, the Greco-Egyptian counterpart of Thoth, was imagined as a sage who revealed the unity of the cosmos, teaching that the laws of the universe reflected a single divine order. These teachings emphasized that everything was connected, that opposites were balanced, that wisdom lay in understanding the harmony of all things. Thoth's role as the writer of cosmic law reminds us that wisdom is not only about knowledge, but about balance. His laws were not meant to be broken or rewritten, but respected, for they sustained the rhythm of existence itself. To the Egyptians, living in harmony with these laws was the essence of civilization, the foundation of truth, and the path to eternal order. Thus, Thoth was more than a god of scribes. He was the cosmic legislator, the divine architect, the eternal reminder that the universe is not chaos but harmony, and that wisdom is the key to preserving its balance. In the worldview of ancient Egypt, words were not mere sounds or symbols. They were forces, living currents of energy that could shape reality itself. To speak was to create, to write was to preserve eternity, and to chant was to summon divine power. Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, was believed to be the master of this art, the one who understood that language was not simply communication but magic. Every hieroglyph carved into stone carried layers of meaning. A single symbol could represent sound, idea, and cosmic truth all at once. To inscribe these symbols was to participate in the divine act of creation, echoing the moment when the gods spoke the world into being. Thoth, as the inventor of writing, gave humanity the ability to preserve memory beyond the fleeting breath of speech, ensuring that truth could endure across generations. Priests invoked Thoth's wisdom in rituals, chanting words with precision, believing that the slightest error could disrupt the balance of mat. Spells were carefully composed, prayers meticulously recited, each syllable carrying weight. The Egyptians believed that words could heal, protect, summon, or banish. To speak a name was to call forth its essence. To write it was to bind it in eternity. This belief extended into everyday life. Contracts, decrees, and laws were not just administrative tools, but sacred acts, reflections of cosmic order. A pharaoh's proclamation was more than political authority. It was a statement aligned with divine truth, carrying the power to shape the destiny of the kingdom. Later traditions, especially in Hermetic philosophy, carried forward this idea of language as magic. Hermes Trismegistus, the Greco-Egyptian counterpart of Thoth, was imagined as a sage who revealed the hidden power of words, teaching that speech and writing could bridge the gap between matter and spirit. Alchemists and mystics believed that formulas, chants, and coded texts held the keys to transformation, echoing the Egyptian reverence for language. The power of words and magic reminds us that communication is never neutral. To the Egyptians, every word was a spell, every inscription a prayer, every chant a force that could sustain or disrupt the balance of the cosmos. Thoth's gift of language was not only a tool for civilization, but a sacred responsibility, a reminder that words carry weight, that truth must be preserved, and that wisdom lies in speaking with reverence. Thus, in the mythology of Thoth, words were more than sounds. They were the threads of reality, woven into the fabric of existence, binding humanity to the divine. Hidden behind the grandeur of temples and the silence of tombs were the mystery schools of ancient Egypt, institutions devoted not to ordinary learning but to the sacred transmission of wisdom. These schools were imagined as places where initiates were trained in the deepest arts of knowledge, guided by priests who carried fragments of Thoth's teachings. They were not open to all. Only the chosen, those deemed worthy, were admitted into their halls. The mystery schools taught disciplines that shaped civilization: astronomy to chart the heavens, medicine to heal the body, mathematics to measure the earth, and ritual to sustain cosmic balance. Yet beyond these practical lessons lay the hidden curriculum, the sacred formulas, the chants, the symbolic truths encoded in hieroglyphs. Initiates were taught that wisdom was not simply information, but transformation, a path that reshaped the soul. Training was long and arduous. Students spent years memorizing texts, learning rituals, and practicing silence. They were taught to approach knowledge with reverence, to understand that every word, every symbol, every gesture carried weight. The schools emphasized discipline, humility, and balance, reminding initiates that wisdom was both gift and burden. Legends suggest that within these schools, fragments of forbidden teachings were preserved, passed down carefully, hidden in allegory and ritual. The initiates were warned that misuse of such knowledge could disrupt the cosmic order. Thus, the schools became guardians of wisdom, ensuring that humanity received only what it could bear. Later traditions, especially in Greek and Hermetic thought, imagined these mystery schools as the source of esoteric philosophy. They believed that the teachings of Thoth flowed through these institutions, shaping the foundations of mystical knowledge in the Mediterranean world. The schools became symbols of hidden wisdom, places where truth was preserved in silence, waiting for seekers who approached with reverence. In the mythology of Thoth, the mystery schools remind us that knowledge is not only about learning but about initiation. It is a journey, a discipline, a transformation. The schools were not merely classrooms but sacred spaces, reflections of Thoth's guardianship, ensuring that wisdom endured without being corrupted, preserved in silence, passed from generation to generation like a hidden flame. The hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt were far more than decorative symbols carved into temple walls or painted onto papyrus. To the Egyptians, they were living codes, sacred signs that carried layers of meaning, each stroke infused with divine resonance. At the heart of this system stood Thoth, the god of writing, who was believed to have designed hieroglyphs not merely as a tool for communication, but as a bridge between mortals and the gods. Every hieroglyph was a puzzle, a symbol that could represent sound, idea, and cosmic truth all at once. A bird might signify flight, spirit, or a phonetic sound, depending on its placement. A simple line could mark the horizon, the balance of heaven and earth, or the eternal cycle of sunrise and sunset. To read hieroglyphs was not simply to decode language, but to step into a world where words were spells and inscriptions were prayers. Priests and scribes trained for years to master these codes. They learned not only the literal meanings, but the hidden layers, the symbolic truths embedded within the writing. A single inscription on a temple wall could be read as history, myth, ritual, and cosmic formula all at once. Thoth's wisdom was believed to be woven into these codes, ensuring that his teachings endured even when scrolls crumbled and temples fell silent. Some legends suggested that hieroglyphs concealed fragments of forbidden knowledge, hidden in plain sight. To the untrained eye, they were pictures. To the initiated, they were formulas of power. Ritual texts, funerary inscriptions, and temple carvings carried not only stories, but spells designed to guide souls, protect kingdoms, and sustain cosmic balance. Later scholars, from Greek philosophers to Renaissance mystics, marveled at hieroglyphs, imagining them as a universal language of truth. They believed that within these symbols lay the wisdom of Thoth, encoded and preserved across millennia. Even today, hieroglyphs inspire fascination, their beauty and mystery reminding us that writing can be more than communication. It can be a sacred act, a code that binds humanity to the divine. In the mythology of Thoth, hieroglyphs were not simply letters, but living symbols, hidden codes that carried the weight of eternity. They were the silent guardians of wisdom, preserving truths that were never meant to be scattered freely, waiting for those who approached with reverence to unlock their secrets. Few legends in Egyptian lore have stirred as much fascination as the tale of the Hall of Records. This mythical chamber was said to lie hidden beneath the sands, a secret archive where the wisdom of the gods and the history of humanity were preserved for eternity. At its heart stood Thoth, the divine scribe, imagined as the guardian of this hall, ensuring that its treasures remained sealed until the right time. The Hall of Records was believed to contain scrolls inscribed with the origins of civilization, maps of the stars, and formulas that explained the mysteries of life and death. Some stories claimed it held the lost teachings of Atlantis, carried into Egypt by Thoth himself, preserved in silence beneath the pyramids. Others imagined it as a vault beneath the Sphinx, a hidden chamber waiting to be uncovered by seekers who approached with reverence. For the Egyptians, the legends symbolized the idea that ultimate truth was preserved but concealed. Humanity was given fragments of wisdom, writing, astronomy, medicine, but the full treasury remained hidden, locked away in the Hall of Records. This concealment was not loss, but protection, a way of ensuring that knowledge endured without being corrupted. Later traditions carried the legend forward, blending it with Hermetic philosophy and mystical lore. Scholars, mystics, and dreamers imagined that the Hall of Records contained the answers to humanity's deepest questions, the origins of the soul, the secrets of immortality, the formulas of cosmic balance. Yet the chamber remained sealed, its silence unbroken, its treasures untouched. The Hall of Records became more than a place. It became a symbol of humanity's longing for ultimate truth. It reminded seekers that wisdom is not only about discovery, but about timing, that some truths must remain hidden until humanity is ready. In the mythology of Thoth, the hall stands as the eternal archive, the silent guardian of knowledge, the reminder that the greatest treasures are not lost but waiting, preserved in silence beneath the sands. The Egyptians believed that wisdom was not always meant to be displayed openly. Some truths were too powerful, too dangerous, or too sacred to be left in the hands of mortals who might misuse them. Instead, these teachings were imagined as being sealed beneath the earth, hidden in tombs, buried in temple vaults, or locked away in chambers that only the gods could access. Thoth, the eternal scribe, was said to be the guardian of this hidden treasury, ensuring that knowledge endured without being corrupted. The burial of wisdom was not seen as loss, but as preservation, just as the body of a pharaoh was entombed to journey into eternity. So too was sacred knowledge, sealed to protect it from decay and misuse. Scrolls were hidden in stone chambers, inscriptions carved deep into walls, and formulas whispered in rituals that were never written down. The earth itself became a library, a silent archive where truths could rest until humanity was ready. Legends spoke of chambers beneath the pyramids, vaults beneath temples, and hidden archives beneath the sands. These places were imagined as repositories of cosmic knowledge, guarded by curses and rituals, designed to keep seekers away unless they approached with reverence. The Hall of Records, the Book of Thoth, and the Emerald Tablets were all tied to this idea that ultimate truth was buried, waiting, preserved in silence. Later traditions carried the legend forward, imagining that beneath the earth lay not only Egyptian wisdom, but the remnants of lost civilizations, perhaps even Atlantis. Mystics and explorers dreamed of uncovering these hidden archives, believing that they contained the answers to humanity's deepest questions. Yet the silence of the sands remained unbroken, the chambers undiscovered, the scrolls unread. The idea of knowledge sealed beneath the earth reflects the Egyptian belief that wisdom is both gift and responsibility. It reminds us that truth must be preserved, that power must be guarded, that some teachings are too vast to be scattered freely. In the mythology of Thoth, the earth itself became a vault, a guardian of secrets, a reminder that the greatest treasures are not lost but waiting, hidden in silence until the time is right. As Egyptian thought mingled with Greek philosophy, the figure of Thoth was transformed into Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great sage who embodied wisdom, writing, and cosmic truth. From this fusion emerged Hermetic wisdom, a body of teachings that carried echoes of Thoth's lost knowledge, reshaped into a philosophy that would influence centuries of seekers across the Mediterranean and beyond. Hermetic wisdom emphasized the unity of the cosmos, teaching that all things were connected through a single divine order. It spoke of the balance of opposites, light and dark, spirit and matter, life and death, and taught that understanding these dualities was the key to enlightenment. Just as Thoth was imagined as the mediator of truth, Hermes Trismegistus became the voice of harmony, revealing that wisdom lay not in extremes but in balance. The Hermetic texts, known as the Corpus Hermeticum, were written in Greek but carried the flavor of Egyptian thought. They explored themes of creation, consciousness, and divine knowledge, often in the form of dialogues between teacher and student. These writings suggested that the universe was alive, infused with spirit, and that humanity could ascend toward divine understanding through study, meditation, and reverence. Alchemists later embraced Hermetic wisdom, interpreting its teachings as formulas for transformation. To them, turning lead into gold was not merely a physical act, but a metaphor for refining the soul, elevating the human spirit toward divine perfection. The Emerald Tablet, often linked to Hermes Trismegistus, became a central symbol of this tradition, its cryptic lines inspiring generations of mystics and philosophers. Hermetic wisdom also emphasized the power of mind and consciousness. It taught that thought could shape reality, that the human soul was a reflection of the divine, and that enlightenment was a process of awakening to this truth. These ideas carried echoes of Thoth's role as the scribe of the gods, the one who recorded not only events but the laws of existence itself. Through Hermetic philosophy, Thoth's legacy endured far beyond Egypt. His teachings, reshaped and reinterpreted, became part of a universal tradition that influenced early Christianity, Renaissance mysticism, and modern esoteric thought. Hermetic wisdom explained not only the cosmos, but humanity's place within it, reminding seekers that knowledge is both gift and responsibility, both illumination and burden. In the mythology of Thoth, Hermetic wisdom stands as a bridge, a way of carrying fragments of forbidden knowledge into new cultures, preserving the essence of truth while veiling its deepest secrets. It is a reminder that wisdom is timeless, flowing across ages and civilizations, always hidden, always waiting, always guiding those who approach with reverence. Among the many myths surrounding Thoth's hidden wisdom, few are as captivating as the idea that his teachings were not born in Egypt alone, but carried from a far older civilization, Atlantis. This legendary land, imagined as a place of immense knowledge and power, was said to have flourished long before the Nile Valley rose to prominence. When Atlantis fell, swallowed by the sea in cataclysmic ruin, its wisdom did not vanish entirely. According to later traditions, Thoth himself became the bridge, carrying fragments of Atlantean knowledge into Egypt, preserving truths that might otherwise have been lost forever. The Atlantis connection transformed the story of Thoth's teachings into something timeless, stretching beyond the boundaries of Egyptian history into the realm of universal myth. It suggested that the wisdom of the gods was not confined to one culture, but was part of a greater continuum, flowing from one age to another, always preserved, always hidden, always waiting. Egypt became the inheritor of this legacy, its temples and pyramids imagined as echoes of Atlantean grandeur, its rituals reflections of a wisdom older than humanity itself. Mystics and philosophers in later centuries embraced this idea, weaving Atlantis into Hermetic lore and esoteric traditions. They believed that the lost teachings of Thoth contained not only Egyptian truths, but Atlantean secrets, formulas of cosmic balance, knowledge of consciousness, and the pathways to immortality. To them, Egypt was the visible face of a hidden lineage, a civilization built upon the ruins of another, carrying forward wisdom that was never meant to be scattered freely. The Atlantis connection also served as a reminder of fragility. If Atlantis fell because its wisdom was misused, then Egypt's guardianship of Thoth's teachings was an act of caution, a way of ensuring that history did not repeat itself. The myths suggested that forbidden knowledge, when wielded without balance, could destroy even the greatest civilizations. Thus, Thoth's role as guardian became all the more vital, not only preserving wisdom, but protecting humanity from its own ambition. In the mythology of Thoth, Atlantis is less a place than a symbol. It represents the eternal cycle of rise and fall, the danger of unrestrained power, and the promise that wisdom, though hidden, endures. The connection between Atlantis and Egypt reminds us that knowledge is both treasure and burden, that civilizations may crumble, but truth remains, sealed in silence, waiting for those who approach with reverence. Among the most intriguing aspects of Thoth's hidden wisdom were the teachings said to concern the nature of consciousness itself. To the Egyptians, the mind was not simply a vessel for thought, but a bridge between the mortal and the divine. Consciousness was imagined as a spark of cosmic order, a reflection of the eternal truths inscribed by Thoth, and it was believed that within this spark lay pathways to enlightenment. Thoth's role as the scribe of the gods extended beyond recording events and laws. He was thought to have inscribed the very architecture of awareness. His teachings suggested that the human soul was not bound by the body alone, but connected to the rhythms of the universe. Dreams, visions, and meditations were seen as glimpses into this deeper reality, moments when consciousness touched the divine. Priests and initiates in the mystery schools were trained to explore these secrets. Through ritual, chant, and meditation, they sought to expand their awareness, to move beyond ordinary perception into states where the boundaries between mortal and divine dissolved. They believed that consciousness could ascend, that the soul could journey through layers of reality, guided by Thoth's wisdom. Legends whispered that Thoth's forbidden teachings contained formulas for awakening hidden faculties of the mind, the ability to perceive truths beyond the senses, to commune with spirits, to understand the language of the stars. These secrets were not shared freely, for they carried immense power. To misuse them was to risk madness or imbalance, disrupting the harmony of Mat. Later traditions, especially in Hermetic philosophy, carried forward these ideas. Hermes Trismegistus was imagined as teaching that the mind shapes reality, that thought is creative, that consciousness is the key to transformation. Alchemists and mystics believed that enlightenment was not about external discovery, but internal awakening, a journey into the depths of the soul where divine truth resides. The secrets of consciousness remind us that wisdom is not only about the external world, but about the inner one. Thoth's teachings suggested that the greatest mysteries lie within, that the human mind is both mirror and gateway, reflecting the cosmos and opening pathways to the divine. In the mythology of Thoth, consciousness is not merely awareness, but sacred connection, a reminder that within each soul lies a fragment of eternal truth, waiting to be awakened, preserved in silence, hidden until approached with reverence. In the mythology of Thoth, few teachings were as alluring or as dangerous as those concerning immortality and forbidden power. The Egyptians believed that Thoth, as the divine scribe, possessed knowledge that could transcend the boundaries of life and death. His wisdom was said to include formulas that could preserve the soul eternally, rituals that could summon divine forces, and incantations that could bend the laws of nature itself. Immortality was not imagined as mere endless existence, but as transformation. To live forever was to align oneself with Mat, the cosmic balance, and to become part of the eternal rhythm of the universe. Yet the myths warned that mortals who sought immortality without reverence risked corruption. Eternal life without balance was seen as a curse, a distortion of the natural order, a disruption of the harmony Thoth guarded. Forbidden power carried similar dangers. Legends spoke of spells that could command the elements, summon spirits, or alter fate itself. These teachings were said to be inscribed in the Book of Thoth, or hidden within the Emerald Tablets, preserved but sealed, waiting for those who approached with discipline and humility. To misuse them was to invite chaos, for power without wisdom was the greatest threat to the cosmos. Priests and initiates were taught fragments of these truths, always with caution. Rituals of preservation, chants for protection, and formulas for healing were shared, but the deeper secrets remained hidden. The guardianship of Thoth ensured that humanity received only what it could bear, that forbidden power remained sealed until the soul was ready. Later traditions, especially in Hermetic philosophy, carried forward these ideas. Hermes Trismegistus was imagined as teaching that immortality lay not in the body, but in the awakening of consciousness, that forbidden power was not about domination but transformation. Alchemists interpreted these teachings as metaphors for refining the soul, turning the base elements of human nature into the gold of divine awareness. In the mythology of Thoth, immortality and forbidden power stand as reminders of the eternal tension between ambition and reverence. They symbolize humanity's longing for transcendence and the dangers of reaching too far. Thoth's guardianship ensured that these truths remained hidden, preserved in silence, waiting for seekers who approached with humility. Thus, immortality was not a gift to be seized, nor forbidden power a weapon to be wielded. They were mysteries, eternal, dangerous, transformative, entrusted to Thoth, the scribe of the gods, who ensured that wisdom endured without destroying the balance of the universe. The mythology of Thoth is filled with paradox. He was both the giver of wisdom and the guardian of silence. While he bestowed upon humanity the gifts of writing, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy, he withheld the deepest truths, the formulas of immortality, the spells of forbidden power, the codes that could alter the fabric of existence. The question that echoes through legend is simple yet profound. Why were these teachings hidden? The Egyptians believed that wisdom was not neutral. Knowledge carried weight, and its use could either sustain Mat, the balance of truth and order, or disrupt it entirely. To reveal the most powerful teachings to mortals was to risk chaos, for ambition without reverence could corrupt even the noblest soul. Thus, Thoth concealed the dangerous fragments, ensuring that humanity received only what it could bear. There was also the lesson of restraint. By hiding certain truths, Thoth reminded humanity that wisdom is not about possession, but about discipline. The path of initiation was designed to test seekers, to ensure that only those who approached with humility and reverence could glimpse fragments of forbidden knowledge. The concealment itself became part of the teaching, silence as wisdom, secrecy as protection. Legends of Atlantis reinforced this caution. If that great civilization fell because its wisdom was misused, then Egypt's guardianship of Thoth's teachings was an act of preservation. The hidden scrolls, the sealed chambers, the cursed books were not punishments, but safeguards, designed to prevent history from repeating itself. Later traditions, especially in Hermetic philosophy, carried forward this idea. Hermes Trismegistus was imagined as teaching that truth must be revealed only to the worthy, that enlightenment is a gradual ascent, that the deepest mysteries cannot be scattered freely. The concealment of Thoth's teachings became a universal symbol of the tension between curiosity and caution, ambition and reverence. In the mythology of Thoth, the reason these teachings were hidden is clear. Wisdom is both gift and burden. To protect humanity from its own ambition, to preserve the balance of the cosmos, and to ensure that truth endured without corruption. The deepest secrets were sealed in silence. They were not lost, but waiting, preserved beneath the sands, encoded in hieroglyphs, whispered in rituals, ready to be revealed only when humanity is prepared to bear their weight. Though the temples of Egypt have long fallen silent, and the scrolls of the priests have turned to dust, the echoes of Thoth's wisdom continue to reverberate in modern times. His teachings, once hidden in hieroglyphs and rituals, have found new life in philosophy, science, and spirituality, reminding humanity that the pursuit of knowledge is eternal. In the realm of science, Thoth's legacy is seen in the way we measure, record, and preserve truth. The Egyptians credited him with inventing, writing, and mathematics. And today these tools remain the foundation of civilization. Every equation solved, every law recorded, every discovery documented carries the spirit of Thoth's gift, the belief that knowledge must be preserved to endure. In spirituality, echoes of Thoth appear in Hermetic philosophy, alchemy, and esoteric traditions that continue to inspire seekers across the world. The Emerald Tablet, with its cryptic line, "As above, so below," has become a mantra for those who see the universe as a reflection of the human soul. Modern mystics and philosophers interpret these teachings as guides to consciousness, transformation, and balance, carrying forward the essence of Thoth's guardianship. Even in technology, Thoth's presence can be felt. The digital age, with its endless archives of information, mirrors the myth of the Hall of Records. Yet the same caution applies. Wisdom without balance can overwhelm, reminding us of the ancient warning that not all truths should be wielded without reverence. The echoes of Thoth also resonate in art and literature. Writers, poets, and visionaries continue to draw upon Egyptian myth, weaving stories of hidden wisdom, forbidden power, and cosmic balance. These retellings remind us that mythology is not confined to the past, but is a living current, shaping imagination and guiding thought. In the mythology of Thoth, modern times are not separate from ancient ones, but part of the same continuum. His wisdom endures in every book written, every law recorded, every truth preserved. The echoes remind us that knowledge is both gift and burden, that wisdom must be approached with reverence, and that the guardian of truth still whispers through the silence of history. Thus, Thoth lives on, not in temples or scrolls, but in the very fabric of human thought, a timeless presence guiding us toward balance, reminding us that the pursuit of wisdom is eternal. In the mythology of Thoth, all wisdom flowed from the divine scribe, yet not all was meant to be revealed. The priests whispered of a final teaching, the deepest secret, hidden beyond scrolls and temples, preserved in silence. This teaching was said to concern the ultimate mystery, the power to shape reality itself, to command the balance of Mat, not as a servant, but as a creator. The final forbidden teaching was imagined as a truth so vast that even gods guarded it with caution. It was the knowledge of how thought becomes form, how word becomes world, how consciousness itself could weave the fabric of existence. To possess it was to hold the key to creation and to destruction. Legends claimed that Thoth inscribed this teaching in a hidden book, sealed beneath the sands, guarded by curses and silence. Only those who had passed through every stage of initiation, who had mastered discipline, reverence, and balance, could even glimpse its shadow. For to misuse it was to invite chaos, to unravel the harmony of the cosmos. The Egyptians believed that humanity was not yet ready. Fragments of wisdom were shared, writing, astronomy, medicine, ritual, but the final teaching remained concealed. It was not lost, but waiting, preserved in silence, until the soul of humanity could bear its weight. Later traditions carried this legend forward, imagining the final forbidden teaching as the ultimate secret of alchemy, the hidden formula of transformation, the path to divine consciousness. Yet always it remained veiled, reminding seekers that the greatest truths are not seized but awaited, revealed only when approached with humility. In the mythology of Thoth, the final forbidden teaching is not simply knowledge but responsibility. It is the reminder that wisdom is both gift and burden, that truth must be preserved, that power must be tempered by reverence. It is the eternal secret hidden in silence, waiting for the day when humanity is ready to awaken. And so the story drifts into quiet. The sands of Egypt settle, the temples fade into shadow, and the whispers of Thoth grow softer, like echoes carried on the night wind. The final teaching remains sealed, resting in silence, waiting for seekers who dream with reverence. Close your eyes now. Let the myths rest in your mind like stars above the desert sky. The journey continues tomorrow, but tonight the wisdom sleeps. Good night.